Hello everyone, hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're diving into a moment that gave me chills.
Yes,
Jack and Tu Tien trek through thick fog to thank the grandma who saved her life. But when they finally reach the tiny forest house, the door is unlocked and she's gone. Where did she disappear to, and will they find her in time? If you enjoy stories like this, don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next episode. Early morning light slips through the small window and lays a soft stripe across the wooden floor. The house is quiet in that calm way it gets after a long season of storms, like even the air is finally learning how to breathe again. Jack is already up. He stretches, rubs his eyes, then turns to Tu Tien with that gentle, careful voice he uses when he's trying not to worry her. "I'm going to work, okay?" Tu Tien sits up slowly, hair a little messy, eyes still heavy with sleep. But there's a steadiness in her gaze now. She nods. "Okay, I'll wait for you." Jack grabs his jacket, then pauses like he just remembered something important. About Grandma," he says. "The woman who helped you in the forest. I really want to go see her soon. I want to thank her properly." Tu Tien's expression softens immediately. "Yes, we should go, but we should go early," she suggests. "The road is far and it's colder in the mountains. And she's living alone. We should bring gifts." Jack nods, already mentally organizing the plan. "Then we go tomorrow morning. Today, I'll pick you up this afternoon and we'll go to the market." Tu Tien smiles. "Good, I'll prepare something too." Jack walks toward the door, then turns back again. "The excavator is leveling the land today," he adds. "It should be finished tonight." "That's good," Tu Tien says, genuinely excited. "The yard will be easier to walk in, no more puddles." Jack looks at her for a second like he's memorizing the sound of her voice saying something normal again. Then he finally leaves, stepping out into the morning. The moment the engine fades away, Tu Tien exhales and starts moving. Her energy isn't loud or dramatic, it's quiet, focused, like someone rebuilding a life one small task at a time. First, she soaks sticky rice in a big bowl, then she rinses and peels green beans, working carefully so they stay clean and whole. She moves around the kitchen like she's done it 1,000 times, but today her purpose feels different. Today isn't just cooking, today is gratitude. She steps outside into the garden. The air is crisp and clean, and the leaves on the plants still hold tiny drops of dew. Tu Tien scans the banana trees for the best leaves, wide, smooth, deep green, no tears. "These ones," she murmurs, reaching up and gently pulling a few down. The small dog trots over, tail wagging like a little flag. Tu Tien laughs quietly. "You've gotten so big," she tells it, scratching behind its ears. "Okay, you watch the house for me." The dog sits like it understands every word. Tu Tien carries the banana leaves back, then goes to the side of the yard and chops thin bamboo strips for strings. Chop, chop, chop. Each cut is clean and sharp. It's oddly satisfying, like she's cutting away the last pieces of fear that still try to cling to her. At one point, she stops, reaches into her pocket, and takes her medicine. She stares at the pill for a second. Not because she doesn't want it, more like she's still adjusting to the idea that she doesn't have to hide anymore. She swallows it with water, then presses her hand to her chest and breathes. "I'm getting better," she whispers to herself. "I am." But even as she says it, a thin thread of anxiety still lingers in her body, quiet shadows that haven't fully disappeared. She shakes it off and gets back to work. because in her mind, handmade gifts feel more meaningful than anything money can buy. If Grandma lived alone all those years, lighting her own fire every night, cooking simple meals by herself, then the least Tu Tien can do is bring her something made with care. Time passes. The sun climbs higher. The kitchen fills with the clean smell of soaked rice, banana leaves, and fresh beans. The house feels busy in the best way. And somewhere in the middle of it all, Tu Tien keeps glancing toward the road, counting the hours until Jack comes back. By late afternoon, the sunlight turns warmer, more golden. Tu Tien wipes her hands, steps to the end of the alley, and listens. Then she hears it, the low hum of a car. Jack pulls up right on time. Tu Tien steps out, and the moment their eyes meet, the day feels lighter. Jack leans his arm out the window. "Ready?" Tu Tien nods. "Ready." He looks her over like he always does now, checking her face, her posture, her breath. "How are you feeling?" "I'm okay," she says quickly. "I took my medicine. I worked a little. Not too much." Jack gives a small, satisfied nod. "Good. Let's go." They drive to the market together, and the moment they step inside, it's like they've walked into a different world. Voices overlap. Vendors call out prices. Bags rustle. Motorbikes creep through narrow lanes. Everything is loud and alive. Tu Tien moves with purpose, but her eyes are gentle. She chooses pork, pork belly, potatoes, onions, beans, and eggs, each item carefully checked like she's shopping for family. Jack carries the bags without complaint. "Is this enough?" he asks. Tu Tien shakes her head. "We need daily necessities too." So they head to the grocery store for rice, instant noodles, fish sauce, salt, and a few basic supplies. She's alone, Tu Tien says softly, almost to herself. The road is difficult. Even simple things are hard for her to get. Jack watches her for a moment, then nods. Then we buy more. At checkout, Jack pays by transfer, and the vendor hands them a big cardboard box. They pack everything neatly, so it'll be easier to carry tomorrow. As they leave the market, Tu Tien glances back at the crowded stalls. For a second, she imagines Grandma standing here alone, trying to carry heavy bags over that mountain road. The thought makes her chest tighten. Jack notices. "Hey," he says gently. "We're going. That's what matters." Tu Tien nods. "I know, I wish we could have gone sooner." "We'll go tomorrow," Jack promises, "and we'll go again after that." On the drive home, the sky slowly shifts toward twilight. The car runs smoothly, but Tu Tien's mind is full. She keeps picturing Grandma opening the box, touching the food, realizing she hasn't been forgotten. That image alone makes Tu Tien's heart beat faster. Back home, the bags are piled neatly in the corner, ready for morning. Tu Tien doesn't waste time. She goes straight to the kitchen to start dinner. She slices meat, marinates it, and begins preparing braised pork with eggs. She stir-fries vegetables, starts rice, checks the pot again and again, like she's trying to make the night feel as warm as possible. Jack watches her, leaning against the doorway. "How's your health?" he asks quietly. Tu Tien pauses for half a second, then answers with a smile. "Better. The medicine helps." Jack studies her face. "If anything feels off, you tell me." "I will," she says, but her voice trembles a little. I don't want my illness to become another burden for you." Jack steps closer, wraps his arms around her from behind, and rests his chin lightly near her shoulder. "You're not a burden," he says firmly. "You're my reason." Tu Tien closes her eyes for a second, letting the warmth settle. They talk softly while she cooks, about Jack's work, about year-end projects, about the excavator finishing the yard. Tu Tien mentions planting bananas, elephant grass, raising fish. Jack warns her not to do heavy labor alone. The kitchen feels bright and safe, full of aroma and quiet laughter. But underneath it, Tu Tien still thinks of the mountain house, the loneliness of someone waiting by a fire for a visitor who might never come. And that's why, when dinner is almost done, Tu Tien looks at Jack and says, "After we eat, we wrap the cakes tonight for Grandma." Jack nods without hesitation. We wrap them tonight. As the sky darkens outside, the house glows warmer, like it's preparing for something meaningful. Dinner hits the table, still steaming. Braised pork with eggs sits in the middle, glossy and fragrant. There's stir-fried beans, soft potatoes, a bowl of soup that smells like comfort, and a fresh pot of rice that fogs up the air when Tu Tien lifts the lid. Jack takes his first bite and exhales like he's been holding his breath all day. "This is so good," he says. And for once, he sounds like a regular husband, not a man carrying 100 worries on his back. Tu Tien smiles and scoops him another spoon of rice. "Eat more," she tells him. "You've been running around too much." They eat slowly, talking about small things. Garden plans, the weather turning colder, how the dog somehow grew overnight. It's the kind of conversation that feels simple on the surface, but underneath it, it's proof. Proof that they're still here. Proof that they survived. Halfway through the meal, Jack's phone rings. He glances at the screen and softens. It's Mum. Tu Tien wipes her hands and leans closer so she can hear. Jack answers on speaker. "Did you two eat yet?" Mother Loy's voice comes through warm and familiar. "Don't tell me you're skipping dinner again." Jack laughs quietly. "We're eating right now, Mum." Tu Tien lifts her voice. "We cooked at home. It's good, Mum." Mother Loy sounds relieved just hearing her. "Thank God. I'm at Aunt Hi's tonight, so I'll stay over here." But I was worried. Tu Tien hesitates, then shares what's been in her heart all day. "Mum, tomorrow morning, Jack and I want to go back to see Grandma, the old woman who helped me in the forest." Mother Loy's tone changes instantly, serious, protective. "You're going to the mountains?" "Yes," Tu Tien says gently. "We bought gifts today, and I'm wrapping cakes tonight. I want to bring her something handmade." Mother Loy hums, half proud, half worried. "Wrap many, and keep one for me," she says, trying to make it light. Then she adds, "But listen, go early, come back early, the road is long, it's cold. Wear warm clothes and don't walk too deep if the fog is thick." Jack nods, even though she can't see him. "We'll be careful." Mother Loy pauses, her voice softer now. "I'm just glad you two are together. That's all I want." Tu Tien swallows, emotion rising fast. "We'll be careful, Mum, I promise." After they hang up, the house feels even warmer, like Mother Loy's voice left a blanket behind. Jack looks at Tu Tien. "You okay?" Tu Tien nods, blinking. "Yeah, I don't want anyone to worry anymore." Jack reaches across the table and squeezes her hand. "Then we'll do things the right way, one step at a time." When they finish eating, Tu Tien automatically stands to clean, but Jack stops her. "No, we do it together." So they wash dishes side by side. Water runs, bowls clink, soap bubbles slide down their hands. It's ordinary, it's peaceful, and it feels like a victory. Then Jack carries a bundle of firewood inside and sets it near the stove. Tu Tien brings out the banana leaves, the soaked rice, the peeled beans, and the marinated pork she prepared earlier. She lays everything out like a little workshop. "Okay," she says, rubbing her hands. "Tonight, you learn to rap." Jack raises his eyebrows. "Me? Rap?" Tu Tien laughs. "Yes, you said you want to thank Grandma, so you rap." Jack sighs dramatically, but he sits down and obeys. "Teach me, teacher." They sit by the fire, knees close, shoulders touching. Tu Tien cuts banana leaves into neat squares, dipping them quickly in warm water so they soften. Jack adds salt to the rice like she tells him, mixing it carefully. As they work, memories slip into the space between them. Tu Tien stares at the leaf in her hands and says quietly, "When I was little, I used to watch my mum wrap cakes for Tet. I didn't know how hard it was back then. I just thought it was normal." Jack looks at her. "My mum used to wrap to sell at the market," he admits. "She was elegant even then, but life was rough." Tu Tien nods, eyes on her hands. "Sometimes I collected leaves to sell. I remember my fingers hurting from carrying bundles." Jack's jaw tightens. He doesn't like imagining her in that kind of struggle. "I'll spend my whole life making sure you don't have to live like that again," he says, voice low. Tu Tien glances up. "You already are." They rap in silence for a while, comfortable, focused. Tu Tien packs the rice, beans and meat neatly, folding each corner tight. Jack tries to copy her. His first attempt looks questionable. Tu Tien holds it up and laughs so hard she nearly drops it. "Jack, what is this shape?" Jack defends himself immediately. "It's creative." "It's a triangle," she says, still laughing. "Okay, then it's a triangle cake." Tu Tien wipes tears from her eyes. "Grandma is going to think we brought her a mountain rock." Jack grins, finally relaxed. "Then you wrap, and I'll tie." That compromise works perfectly. They finish around 10 cakes, some square, some longer, packed heavier with meat because Tu Tien insists Grandma deserves the best pieces. They arrange them into a large pot and pour in water. When the pot starts boiling, the sound fills the house like a heartbeat. Tu Tien showers quickly and comes back in thick socks, hair still damp. She sits close to Jack by the fire and hands him a cup of warm water. "You need to rest," she says. Jack shakes his head. "Not yet. I'll stay up to watch the pot." Tu Tien takes her medicine, then leans her head against his shoulder. "Being home is still strange," she whispers. "But it's the good kind of strange." Jack kisses the top of her head. "You're safe. That's what matters." They talk quietly while the cakes boil. About the road tomorrow, about the fog, about how they'll carry the gifts. Tu Tien points out the turn in the path where she once got lost, and Jack listens like he's mapping it in his mind so it can never happen again. Eventually, Tu Tien's eyelids get heavy. "You sleep," Jack tells her. "I'll wake you early." Tu Tien hesitates, like she doesn't want to leave him awake alone, then nods. "Okay, wake me." She goes to bed, and Jack stays by the fire, watching the pot, listening to the steady bubbling like a promise being kept. Morning comes wrapped in thick fog. The world outside looks soft and distant, like a dream. Jack loads the gifts into the car, rice, noodles, fish sauce, salt, and the box of supplies they packed yesterday. The cakes are wrapped tightly and placed on top like something precious. Tu Tien sits beside him, bundled up, hands warming around a small thermos of tea. "You ready?" Jack asks. Tu Tien nods. Yes. They drive slowly, carefully, fog hugging the road. When they reach the turning point Tu Tien remembers, she points immediately. "That way," she says. "That's the right turn." Jack follows her direction without question. Eventually, they park at the edge where the road becomes too narrow. The rest has to be done on foot. They lift backpacks, boxes, and the bag of cakes. The forest path is damp and muddy from rain. Jack steps carefully, offering his hand whenever Tu Tien slips. "You good?" he asks. "I'm good," she says. "I'm not alone this time." The words land quietly, but they change everything. When the wooden house finally appears through the trees, Tu Tien's heart jumps. They step up to the door. It's unlocked. Tu Tien calls softly, "Grandma?" No answer. She calls again, louder. "Grandma, it's me, Tu Tien." Still nothing. Jack and Tu Tien exchange a look, hope mixed with worry. "Maybe she's out gathering herbs," Tu Tien says, trying to stay calm. Jack nods. "Then we wait." They enter carefully, not like intruders, but like family returning to a place that once saved a life. Jack lights a small fire to warm the space. The flames catch quickly, filling the room with soft orange light. They sit near the hearth with the gifts beside them, listening to the forest outside, wind in the leaves, distant birds, the quiet patience of the mountains. Tu Tien stares at the doorway, heart heavy with one fear. What if Grandma doesn't come back? What if they're too late? Jack reaches for her hand. "We'll wait," he says. "And if she doesn't return today, we'll leave everything here for her, and we'll come back again. We won't stop." Tu Tien nods, eyes shining, gratitude and worry tangled together. Outside, fog drifts past the trees like slow-moving breath. Inside, the fire crackles steadily. Two people waiting, holding a thank you that still hasn't been delivered, hoping the woman who once saved Tu Tien's life will walk back through that door. Jack and Tu Tien finally get a quiet night together after everything they've been through. Over a warm home-cooked dinner, they call Mother Ly, share their plan, and prepare gifts for the kind grandma who once sheltered Tu Tien in the forest. Later, by the crackling fire, they wrap traditional cakes, laughing through Jack's clumsy first attempts, while old Tet memories and past hardships surface. The simple ritual becomes a promise, no more suffering alone. Before dawn, they load supplies, cakes and daily necessities, then drive into thick fog toward the mountains. The road turns muddy, the path narrows, and they finish the journey on foot, hand in hand. At last, they reach Grandma's wooden house, but the door is unlocked, the place is empty, and Grandma is nowhere to be found.